In 1997, Titanic set sail onto the big screen and into history, a sweeping romance, a staggering disaster, and a cast that captured the hearts of the world. Jack Rose, Cal Molly Brown. It wasn't just a movie, it was an era. Now, more than 25 years later, we're taking a closer look at the people who brought the Titanic to life. Some became legends, some quietly stepped out of the spotlight, and others left us far too soon. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Titanic cast and where they are now. At number 10, Gloria Stewart. She was the heart of Titanic's memory, the voice that carried us back in time through love, loss, and the cold Atlantic Sea. In James Cameron's Titanic, Gloria Stewart played Old Rose Dawson Calvert, the elderly survivor whose voice frames the entire film. Sitting before the wreck's remains and remembering Jack, she didn't just narrate a story, she made us feel like we were living it. Gloria Stewart was born on July 4th, 1910. When Titanic premiered in 1997, she was 87 years old and had already lived several lifetimes on and off the screen. Her casting wasn't a gimmick, it was a resurrection. Back in the 1930s and 40s, Gloria had been a rising star and a contract player for Universal Pictures. She starred in classics like The Invisible Man 1933 and Poor Little Rich Girl 1936. But by the 1950s, she had largely stepped away from Hollywood, choosing instead to focus on painting, sculpture, and political activism. Her performance in Titanic earned her a Best Supporting Actress Oscar nomination, making her at the time the oldest nominee in Academy Awards history. She didn't win, but her presence lingered in every tear-streaked audience member who heard her say,
"A woman's heart is a deep ocean of secrets."
After the film's success, Gloria enjoyed a brief but beautiful resurgence. She appeared in The Love Letter 1999 and was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She lived to be 100 years old, passing away peacefully on September 26, 2010, surrounded by family. Her final years were filled with painting, poetry, and public appearances, often reflecting on how the Titanic had reintroduced her to the world. At number 9, Billy Zane. He was rich, he was ruthless, he was the man the world loved to hate. In Titanic, Billy Zane played Caledon Hockley Rose's possessive fiancé and the perfect embodiment of privilege, pride, and power. With every clenched jaw and icy stare, Cal made audiences root even harder for Jack and Rose. But Billy Zane made him unforgettable. Born February 24th, 1966, Billy was 30 years old when Titanic began filming in 1996, and he was no stranger to the screen. Before boarding the doomed ship, Zane had already starred in Dead Calm alongside Nicole Kidman, appeared in Back to the Future, and donned purple tights in The Phantom 96. He was tall, magnetic, and perfectly suited for complex villains. But the Titanic changed everything. With the film's release in 1997, Zane was suddenly everywhere on red carpets, interviews, and fan posters. Cal may have been a villain, but Billy's performance was too charismatic to hate. That final scene, clinging to a child, pretending to be a concerned father just to secure a lifeboat, sealed his legacy as one of cinema's most cowardly characters. After Titanic, Zane's career took an unconventional path. He leaned into indie films and international projects rather than chasing blockbuster fame. Movies like The Believer, Clean Skin, and The Roommate kept him working steadily, even if they didn't break the box office. He also voiced characters in animation and took to the stage in both London and the US. Billy Zane is 59 years old and remains active in both entertainment and the art world. He shares his life with model Candace Neal, with whom he has 2 daughters, and splits his time between Los Angeles and Europe, frequently attending art fairs and fan conventions. At number 8, Kathy Bates. She wasn't just unsinkable, she was unforgettable. In Titanic, Kathy Bates played Margaret Molly Brown, the real-life American socialite and philanthropist known for her bravery during the ship's sinking. She was warm, outspoken, and fiercely independent, the first-class passenger who treated Jack like an equal and never bowed to snobbery. Bates brought Molly Brown to life with charisma and wit, turning what could have been a minor role into a scene-stealing performance. From helping Jack borrow a tuxedo to standing tall during the evacuation, Bates infused her scenes with heart and humor, reminding us that not all wealthy passengers look down on steerage. Born June 28, 1948, Kathy Bates was 49 years old when she stepped into Molly's shoes, but she was already a Hollywood powerhouse. She had won an Academy Award for Best Actress in Misery, 1990, terrifying audiences as the obsessed fan Annie Wilkes. That performance put her on the map as as one of the boldest, most versatile actresses of her generation. After Titanic, Bates continued a streak of brilliant performances, moving seamlessly between comedy, drama, and horror. She appeared in films like Primary Colors, About Schmidt, The Blind Side, and Richard Jewell, earning Oscar and Emmy nominations along the way. But it was her work on television, especially in American Horror Story, that introduced her to a new generation. From Twisted Witches to Civil War Ghosts, Bates became a staple of Ryan Murphy's dark anthology, proving that age only sharpened her edge. Off-screen, she faced personal battles with the same resilience she brought to Molly Brown. In 2003, she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. A decade later, she revealed she'd also battled breast cancer and underwent a double mastectomy. But she remained open, brave, and active, advocating for cancer awareness and body positivity. As of 2025, Kathy Bates is 77 years old. She's still acting, still winning awards, and still reminding Hollywood what real range looks like. At number 7, Frances Fisher. She didn't board the Titanic for love, she boarded for legacy. In Titanic, Frances Fisher played Ruth DeWitt Bukater, Rose's stern and calculating mother, the woman who wore corsets tighter than her grip on social status. Ruth wasn't cruel in the cartoonish sense, she was cold in the realistic one, a widow clinging to privilege as her family's fortune collapsed beneath her, and Frances Fisher made her unforgettable. Born May 11, 1952, Fisher was 45 years old during filming. She was already a respected name in film and television, having appeared in Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven and TV series like The Edge of Night and Rescue Me, but Titanic brought her global recognition. Fisher's portrayal of Ruth gave audiences a villain who wasn't evil, just desperate. One moment, she's reminding Rose about their dwindling fortune. The next, she's silently tightening a corset with quiet fury. Her performance was subtle, restrained, and haunting. She was a woman raised to survive, even if it meant marrying her daughter off to a monster. After Titanic, Frances Fisher never slowed down. She continued building a diverse portfolio, appearing in acclaimed projects like House of Sand and Fog, The Lincoln Lawyer, and The Kingdom. On television, she had recurring roles in Masters of Sex, Resurrection, and HBO's Watchmen. She also earned praise for her performance in Clint Eastwood's True Crime, and more recently in Women Talking Dirty and Grace and Frankie. In her personal life, she once dated Clint Eastwood, with whom she had a daughter, Francesca Eastwood, now an actress in her own right. As of 2025, Frances Fisher is 73 years old and still active in both mainstream and independent film. She's also embraced fan culture, appearing at Titanic anniversary panels and conventions, where her portrayal of Ruth continues to spark debate. At number 6, Victor Garber. He didn't go down as a villain or a hero. He went down with dignity. In Titanic, Victor Garber portrayed Thomas Andrews, the ship's chief architect, and perhaps its most tragic character. Calm, composed, and kind-hearted, Andrews knew the ship was doomed, yet spent his final moments helping others find safety. He didn't shout, he didn't panic, he straightened a tablecloth, said goodbye, and accepted fate. Born March 16, 1949, Victor Garber was 48 years old during filming. By that time, he was already a respected stage and screen actor, best known for roles in Godspell, Sleepless in Seattle, and The First Wives Club. He was also a 4-time Tony Award nominee on Broadway, but Titanic added something else to his legacy. Garber's performance as Thomas Andrews was understated brilliance. He didn't demand attention, he earned it. The way he comforted passengers, gently guided Rose, and stayed behind while others fled, it elevated him from supporting character to moral compass. After Titanic, Victor Garber's career flourished. He took on major roles in Legally Blonde, Tuck Everlasting, Milk, and Argo, the latter winning the Academy Award for Best Picture. On TV, he gained even more fans through series like Alias as Jack Bristow, Eli Stone, and Legends of Tomorrow in the DC Universe. Garber is also an acclaimed singer and Broadway veteran, with a long-standing reputation as one of theater's most versatile talents. His stage presence remains magnetic to this day. In his personal life, Garber came out publicly in 2012, and in 2015, he married his longtime partner, artist Rainer Andreessen. He's been praised not only for his talent, but for his grace, humility, and quiet trailblazing in both film and LGBTQ+ advocacy. As of 2025, Victor Garber is 76 years old. He continues to act in film, television, and stage, most recently appearing in Family Law, The Orville, and various guest spots on network dramas. At number 5, Bernard Hill. He was the captain who faced the impossible and went down with his ship. In Titanic, Bernard Hill portrayed Captain Edward John Smith, the real-life commander of the ill-fated RMS Titanic. With a white beard, a heavy heart, and silent resolve, Hill brought the legendary figure to life not as a caricature, but as a man crushed by consequence. From his quiet walks across the deck to that final moment in the wheelhouse, hands gripping the brass, Hill's performance was steeped in dignity. Born December 17, 1944, Hill was 53 years old when he donned the captain's uniform, and by then, his resume was already filled with history-making roles. He gained early acclaim in the BBC drama boys From the Black Stuff, where he played Yasser Hughes, a desperate man whose line, "Giz a job," became a cultural catchphrase. He later appeared in Gandhi 1982, Shirley Valentine 1989, and True Crime 1996. But Titanic elevated him to global recognition. As Captain Smith, Hill had few lines, but made every moment matter. Whether nodding quietly to Thomas Andrews or staring blankly at the iceberg's wake, he portrayed the agony of a man who realized too late that the unthinkable was now inevitable. After Titanic, Bernard Hill's career soared once more. He took on perhaps his second most iconic role, King Theoden in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. His stirring speech in The Two Towers and his heroic ride in The Return of the King earned him a permanent place in fantasy cinema history. Ride Now, Ride for Ruin, and The World's Ending remains one of the genre's greatest battle cries. He also appeared in films like Valkyrie, Franklin, Wimbledon, and Paranorman. On television, he returned to British dramas and continued working steadily, even as he became more selective with age. At number 4, Danny Nucci. He was the loyal best friend with a wide grin, and the sinking ship broke more than just hearts. In Titanic, Danny Nucci played Fabrizio de Rossi, Jack Dawson's upbeat Italian best friend and travel companion. Together, they won their third-class tickets in a poker game. Together, they boarded history, and tragically, only one would survive. Fabrizio brought lightness to the film's early scenes, laughing, dancing, sketching dreams of America. But as the iceberg struck, Nucci's performance shifted from carefree to gut-wrenching. His final moments, crushed by a falling smokestack, were among the film's most haunting. Born September 15, 1968, Nucci was 29 years old during filming. He was already a familiar face, with supporting roles in major blockbusters like The Rock and Crimson Tide. In fact, Titanic marked the third time in 2 years that his character died in a James Cameron-related film, unofficially earning him a reputation as the guy who dies before the credits roll. Still, Titanic gave him global exposure. After the film, Danny Nucci pivoted toward television. He found steady success on shows like The Fosters, where he played Mike Foster, 10 to 8, Officers on Duty, and Castle. He also took on numerous guest roles in House, Without a Trace, NCIS, and Arrow, among others. Though he never became a household name like some of his co-stars, Nucci built a strong and consistent acting career. His fans admire his grounded charm, his ability to play both good guys and villains, and his resilience in a cutthroat industry. In his personal life, he married Paula Marshall in 2003, a fellow actor known for roles in Cupid and Gary Unmarried. Together, they raised a family, and Nucci often speaks about prioritizing balance over fame. As of 2025, Danny Nucci is 57 years old and still active in television and film. He's also appeared at Titanic fan events and cast reunions, where fans continue to celebrate his role, small in screen time, but massive in emotional impact. Fabrizio may have only said one thing when boarding the Titanic: "I can see the Statue of Liberty already." Very small, of course, but that little line, that joy, Danny Nucci made it unforgettable. At number 3, Bill Paxton. He wasn't on the Titanic in 1912, but he took us there in 1996. In Titanic, Bill Paxton played Brock Lovett, the deep-sea treasure hunter searching for the heart of the ocean, and unknowingly the final voice of the past. His character bookends the film, introducing us to Rose and reminding us that sometimes the greatest treasure isn't gold, it's a memory. Born May 17, 1955, Paxton was 42 years old when Titanic was filmed, and by then, he was already a beloved fixture in Hollywood. From Aliens to Twister, Apollo 13 to True Lies, Paxton brought everyman charm and infectious energy to roles that could have easily been forgettable in someone else's hands. But as Brock Lovett, he showed something deeper. He starts the film chasing profit. He ends it silently, watching Rose toss the diamond back into the sea. That shift from greed to reverence was all in Paxton's eyes. He didn't need a speech. His face said everything. Titanic wasn't his biggest role, but it may have been one of his most human. After Titanic, Bill Paxton's career kept soaring. He starred in the HBO series Big Love, earning 3 Golden Globe nominations for his performance as a conflicted polygamist husband. He also directed the crime thriller Frailty, 2001, a cult hit praised for its chilling atmosphere and surprising depth. In the 2000s and 2010s, Paxton kept audiences captivated with with roles in Edge of Tomorrow, Nightcrawler, Hatfields and McCoys, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He was versatile, warm, and impossible not to root for, whether playing heroes, villains, or something in between. But in 2017, tragedy struck. On February 25th, Bill Paxton died unexpectedly due to complications from heart surgery. He was just 61 years old. He left behind a wife, Louise Newberry, and 2 children, one of whom, James Paxton, is now carrying on his legacy in acting. At number 2, Kate Winslet. She was the heart, she was the fire, she was the rose who refused to wilt. In Titanic, Kate Winslet played Rose DeWitt Bukater, a young woman trapped by wealth, status, and a suffocating engagement until a boy named Jack and an unsinkable ship changed her life forever. Her performance wasn't just powerful, it was iconic. Born October 5th, 1975, Winslet was just 21 years old during filming. She was relatively unknown outside the UK, having only made a splash in Sense and Sensibility and Heavenly Creatures. But Titanic turned her into a household name. Winslet's Rose was fierce and vulnerable all at once, a rebel in gloves and corsets, daring enough to spit like a sailor and fly on the bow of a doomed ocean liner. She earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress, making her the 4th youngest nominee at the time. But unlike many who peak young, Kate Winslet soared even higher. After Titanic, she deliberately steered away from blockbuster fame, instead choosing complex, emotionally charged roles in films like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Revolutionary Road, The Reader, which won her the Oscar for Best Actress in 2009, and Steve Jobs. She's also made her mark on television, winning Emmys for Mildred Pierce and Mayor of Easttown, where her gritty, layered performance silenced anyone who ever doubted her range. In her personal life, Kate Winslet has been married 3 times and has 3 children. In 2012, she married Edward Abel Smith, formerly known as Ned Rock'n'Roll, nephew of billionaire Richard Branson. Despite the Hollywood spotlight, she's kept her family life remarkably grounded. As of 2025, Kate Winslet is 50 years old and still dazzling. She's currently attached to multiple film and streaming projects and remains one of the most respected actresses of her generation. At number 1, Leonardo DiCaprio. He didn't just draw her like one of his French girls. He drew the world into one of the greatest love stories ever told. In Titanic, Leonardo DiCaprio played Jack Dawson, a penniless artist with nothing to his name but a sketchbook and a dream. And somehow, that was enough to steal Rose's heart, and the hearts of millions. Born November 11th, 1974, DiCaprio was 22 years old during the filming of Titanic. By then, he was already seen as a rising star, having earned an Oscar nomination at age 19 for What's Eating Gilbert Grape and gaining teen idol status in Romeo plus Juliet, 1996. But Titanic, that made him a global phenomenon. The film exploded into theaters in 1997, earning over $2.2 billion worldwide and cementing Leo's status as the face of a generation. Yet for DiCaprio, Titanic was both a blessing and a burden. He refused to be typecast as just a heartthrob, so instead of chasing easy fame, he turned to serious, complex roles, and he never looked back. From The Aviator to Gangs of New York, Blood Diamond to The Wolf of Wall Street, Leo carved out a career defined by range, intensity, and ambition. His collaborations with directors like Martin Scorsese redefined modern cinema. In 2016, he finally won his long-awaited Academy Award for The Revenant after years of near misses and meme-worthy snubs. As of 2025, Leonardo DiCaprio is 50 years old. He continues to act, most recently starring in Killers of the Flower Moon 2023, and remains a dominant force in both Hollywood and global activism. His personal life, of course, remains tabloid fodder. Known for his dating history with high-profile models, Leo's love life has often drawn as much attention as his films. But behind the headlines is an actor who has matured, transformed, and stayed true to his craft. More than 25 years after Jack Dawson sank into cinematic legend, Leonardo DiCaprio still reigns. From Oscar winners to quiet retreats, from tragic losses to artistic reinventions, the cast of Titanic proved that legends don't just fade, they evolve. Which actor's journey surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss another deep dive into Hollywood's past and present. Until next time, keep your heart open and your lifeboat ready.